Hello, this is Biblical Tarot, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, I have a request from a subscriber. And the question from the subscriber was, Person B wants to know, why did Person P mention his wife in Person B's social media post? So I'm using the new Mythic Tarot today instead of the Rider-Waite or the Kabbalistic Tarot, so we can have something different and a different perspective. And the first card that came out was the Strength card. The second card that came out was the Star. The third card that came out was the Five of Swords. And the fourth card, which was from the bottom of the deck, the Perspective card, was the Page of Swords. So we're going to get straight to it. And we're going to start with the first card, which is the Strength card, which sometimes is called the Muzzled Lion. And I'm going to give you background on the card from the new Mythic Tarot before I give my reading on the card. It says the card of Strength portrays a muscular, powerfully built man with curling chestnut hair, wearing only a red loincloth. He is engaged in a savage struggle with a lion and has managed to wrap his strong hands around the beast's throat. At the critical moment, he is winning the fight. Around man and lion loom the rocky walls of a dark cave. Through the mouth of the cave can be seen a barren landscape of brown hills. The lion can only be conquered with bare hands. There are no man-made tools or shortcuts, but only one's own resources. The gloominess of the cave is like the darkness of the unconscious, in which the primitive instincts dwell invisible to ordinary awareness. Hercules wears the blood-red color of Ares, whom we met in the card of the Chariot, but we haven't seen that, okay? He has already learned the lesson of harnessing his aggression and directing it towards a creative end. So now I'm going to tell you my reading on the card, which when I look at this card, I can see, because he mentioned his wife in Person B's social media post, that he was conquering the beast within himself. He was conquering it with courage, strength, and self-discipline. He has that self-discipline within him. He seems like he has to fight these beastly feelings within himself to be a faithful man, because he mentioned his wife. He wants to be a respectful man because, of course, no one is good. No one is good except for God. Okay? We all fall short in thought or deed, but the test is to conquer the lion within, to conquer the desires within us that maybe we want, but it won't be a good thing to act on. So when I look at this card, it makes me think of Samson and Delilah. And Samson, he killed a lion. If you read the story, he killed the lion in the beginning, okay? And then what he did was he said a riddle, and I can't remember what the riddle was. I wish I could. But it had to do with, him being strong enough to conquer the lion, to kill the lion, but in the end of the story, he wasn't strong enough to withstand the desires of Delilah, because he went to her, which she was a prostitute, but he went to her and he fell in love with her. And what he did was he told her his secrets because he was in love with her. So I see this man trying to conquer the desires within him to not like that girl or that woman. Well, she's not a girl. To not like her, or to put her at arm's length by mentioning his wife. And the second card that came out was the Star. And as you see, he's conquering the lion. And I think that's him conquering the desires for this beautiful woman here, who is looking on the other side of him at the Star of Hope. As you see, this box is Pandora's box, but she's not paying attention to the stuff coming out of there, the bugs, the horrible stuff coming out of the Pandora's box. Instead, she's focusing on that star. The card of the star portrays a beautiful young woman with long, fair hair kneeling before an open chest. From the chest, an anxious swarm of flying creatures rises, filling the air with darkness, but the young woman's eyes are fixed on a bright star which hovers above her, within which can be seen a female figure in glowing white robes. Pandora is like Eve, a woman. It is the feminine side of human nature, feeling, instinct, imagination, intuition, which must probe for the truth despite the consequences. The insects, unlike warmer blooded creatures, are far from human consciousness and relationship. We cannot communicate with them, but are stung and goaded by nature itself. The chest that Zeus sends to mankind with Pandora is like an apple in the Garden of Eden, something that is forbidden yet impossible to resist. It contains the knowledge of the reality of human life, which means the death of naivety, and childlike fantasy. Yet it also contains the most precious attribute of the human spirit. So what I think about the star, is that it's a beautiful naked woman, as the book said, but she's staring at the star in the background. Even though she opened up Pandora's box, she also can correspond to irrational hope, and I think this is an irrational hope of the person that asked the question, because it's false hope, faith in something that has no foundation. Even though there is the black stuff coming out, the swarms of insects, she still looks to the star of hope glistening in the background. Only a fool could hope for something not in their reach. She can't reach that, but she still hopes and waits, looking to the star. So I think he's conquering that lion, that muzzled lion. He's conquering the lion because he sees she has hope in maybe something becoming between them. Or, how can I say it better? Of something being born between them. Even though that there probably is something born between them, it's never going to materialize into something physical. Okay? So the third card, which is the Five of Swords, and what the Five of Swords says is that the card of the Five of Swords portrays Orestes seated on the ground facing the god Apollo, who has appeared to tell him of his fate and his obligation to avenge his father's death. Apollo stands on the right and points sternly at the five swords, which he holds in his right hand. In the distance, dark clouds can be seen hovering over the mountain peaks. Okay? So, to me, it seems like with the Five of Swords, five and the fives are limitation and severity. And I see, with the Five of Swords, I see him setting boundaries and getting rid of false pride within himself. And also, when someone oversteps the boundaries and the scales become unbalanced, it has to be put back into balance. And I think he's putting things back into balance. And yes, it does hurt to have that judgment from somebody, Mostly it hurts the heart due to pride and rejection. But it also brings an acceptance to the truth of what is really the reality. Okay? And the reality is he's setting a line in the sand and setting a limitation and a boundary for him and his wife. And that's another reason why he mentioned his wife in in that social media post that person B, posted. So what we'll do is we'll go to the next one, which is the perspective card. It was it was on the bottom of the deck, and this card puts all three of those cards in perspective. Okay, it puts them all into perspective. And the card of the Page of Swords, that's what it is. It's a youth dressed in a pale blue tunic, kneeling among the clouds in a turbulent sky. His fair hair streams out into the wind, which emerges from his mouth as he violently blows. In his hand, he holds a silver sword. Below him, he can be seen as gray mountains and landscape. Okay? So, what I see in this Page of Swords is I see the seeker or the querent who wants to know the question, that as you see all that air coming out of the mouth is communication, is thought, and this card has to do with gossip, a child spirit who can exaggerate their feelings and even cross the line with their feelings, like in the Five of Swords, the boundaries that were set. It can be the gossip, not even that it's gossip, but the things that are coming out of their mouth or the things that they are posting. It can be destructive and cause reputation and gossip. And we know what happens when there's gossip or talk about the town or social media, embellishment of something that is just not there, but it's perceived to be there by other people, even though it's not true. So I'm thinking, because of the things that the person B has been doing, he had to say something about his wife and conquer that. But I think he, like I said earlier, he's conquering those feelings because he also has desires within him too. But of course, nothing's wrong with thinking things. You're always going to have feelings, but it's about putting those feelings in proper perspective and conquering them, because you can't help what you feel, but you can help what you do. So that's my reading for today, and I hope it helped the subscriber and they understand what I'm saying, and maybe they should just remain friends with the person and not overstep the boundaries anymore, because that was a line drawn in the sand. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for subscribing. I got a couple more subscribers. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support. And I'm going to go. Thank you. Bye.